Good Wednesday morning. It's October 14th, 2020. I'm Guy McPherson of GuyMcPherson.com, which you might know as Nature Bats Last. I'm going to present a very few headlines based on the approximately 24 hours that have transpired since I last posted some headlines, and then an indication of where the stock markets are headed in the United States. Yesterday, the markets were down. All the major indices were down in the United States after a 4-day run of positive stock market returns. So here we are from Reuters. Eli Lilly antibody trial paused due to potential safety concern. Same thing happened yesterday with a different company, as patients or clients or subjects, whatever they're called when you experiment on humans, as they're getting sick as a result of the potential cures for the coronavirus. Among the consequences of the pandemic going on right now is reported in CNBC. Unemployment was supposed to be temporary. Now it's permanent for almost 4 million. That's 4 million people in the United States trying to hang on without a job. From Morningstar, what the coronavirus means for the future of financial planning. I only have 2 issues with phrases in that headline: future and financial planning. Our future is very limited at this point, and financial planning for the billionaires, it's not a primary concern of mine. What is a concern of mine is the people on Main Street, the 4 million who've lost their jobs. That doesn't count a whole bunch of people like me, for example, who have been without jobs for an extended period of time. From Yahoo News, quote, "Stop playing games with our lives," end quote. Americans on financial brink plead with politicians to pass bill for second stimulus checks. That's right. People are still not making any money, and they're still begging the government to get some of that money back that they paid into the government through their taxes, and it looks like it's not working out very well for any of us. This is people who are so desperate that they're scrambling for another $1,200 check, whereas in other countries around the world, the money is just flowing in from the government because those governments in other parts of the world know what our government knows as well, but they're acting on it. And what they know is that money is just made up anyway. The whole thing just drives you further into debt. You think the United States is afraid of a little debt at this point? Come on. When Obama took office about 1,000 years ago, the $8 trillion US debt exceeded all the value of the gold in the history of the world ever mined, plus the value of all the currency in the world. And it was 20 trillion instead of 8 trillion when he left office 8 years later. And it's higher than that now, and it's just made up money for a relatively few people who continue to enjoy the privilege of having access to that made up money. Let's give some of that money to the people on Main Street so that people can feed themselves. Wouldn't that be a potential role for the government, and even a positive one? I would think so. I don't expect much from the government. It's one of the reasons I'm an anarchist. But this is just a plea for help on behalf of so many people who need the help. From MarketWatch, billionaire investor Howard Marks paints grim view of economic outlook. Stimulus alone won't cure down cycle. No, the stimulus alone won't solve much of anything except for the people on Main Street who are struggling to eat today. It'd be really useful for folks like that. From Reuters, desperate Americans hit by pandemic beg Congress, Trump, to pass economic relief bill. Again, the story remains the same. The people on Main Street are not having access to money. The people on Wall Street have access to all the money they could potentially want. And again, after 4 days up for all the major indices in the United States, yesterday the markets were down, and today they're back in the green again, with the Dow Jones at 9:34 a.m. up 36 points, the NASDAQ is up 17, and the S&P 500 is barely up. So It looks like we're continuing the same old path, pumping money into the stock market and making sure that the billionaires have access to made-up money, while the people on Main Street continue to suffer. And people are proud of this country? Unbelievable.